Well, welcome to the Global Gurus podcast. This is 15 minutes, a 15-minute conversation with thinkers shaping the future of leadership and business. I'm Rhett Power. I've got LGO in the house with me today. We are co-hosting this episode together, and we've got Chris Dyer. He's a good friend. He's a recognized expert on company culture. I can't speak English today. Sorry, guys. He's an expert on company culture, leadership. And so, Chris, it's great to have you. Now, we asked 3 questions on this podcast. It's 15 minutes. What is the biggest problem you see right now in the world? What's the original methodology you've built to solve it? And how are you applying it to create measurable results in the real world? Laura, let's get into this. Let's ask Chris that first question. And get to the meat of this.
So, Chris, what is the biggest problem you see right now?
Yeah, what is that biggest problem?
I mean, first, thank you for having me on. It's great to see you both. I'm always excited, and it's early for me here. It's like 6:50 in the morning, but I was still super pumped and energized to be here with you both. So, thank you. I think the problem is simple, yet it's really hard to face. We're living through one of the most consequential moments in human history, and most leaders, as I'm seeing it, are either don't know what to do, or they're sort of sleepwalking through it and hoping that the world doesn't kind of collapse down on them. AI is rewriting our work, entire careers and industries, identities are all kind of transitioning right now. And I've seen people that are scared. I've seen people that are hopeful and excited about this, and maybe confused all at once. So this is exactly the kind of moment that really demands great leadership. It demands that we respond in different ways. And more than just like calling a meeting or having another wellness webinar, like we really have to get this response and this approach right. So I think that good isn't the goal anymore. As we look at reshaping our organizations, the goal really should be, how do we create the best place our people will ever work? And that's not about perks. I think it's about moments. I think it's about how we respond to a certain subset of moments. I don't know if you all can think about this silly example, but we all literally think about what we're going to wear every single day. We comb our hair, we get ready, we take a shower, we do all of these things that look great for everyone else around us. And nobody ever remembers what we wore. I might remember what you wore today if you showed up in a clown suit, right? If you did something really obtuse, I might remember it. But we spend all this time trying to be perfect, trying to get everything right. And I think leaders do that every single day, trying to be everything to everyone all the time. And yet what people really remember is just a few really important moments that they had with that time with you at that organization. So I think that's really the problem that I'm seeing, that I'm trying to address in the world.
Okay, so you have a new book out, Moments That Matter. So how do we make the moments that matter? What's the original framework that you're bringing to solve this problem? Because I have to say, I loved leading. I loved being the person who was out there, setting what's the North Star? Where are we going as a company? Where are we trying to achieve? I loved shining light on my people and celebrating them. And so I could make the big moments matter, but I hated managing. And the difference between leading and managing, it was horrible. The everyday continuous quality improvement, I wanted to stick a nail in my ear. It was so difficult. So we can make the big moments matter, but how do we make all the moments that actually matter?
So I had sold my company, and it was a few years after that. It was I sold at the end of 2021. And so 2 years later, I'm at dinner with 2 former employees, and I'm kind of a little bit almost resistant to going out to dinner with them, because it looks like they're doing really great, even better than they were doing with me. They've gotten raises, they've gotten promotions, the new organization is they're kicking butt. And when I sat down with them at dinner, what they told me was something I didn't expect. They said, the work that we had done together in the previous company was the best of times for them. That they would give up the money, they would give up the promotions, they would give all that stuff up to be back, for all of us to be back working in that kind of old atmosphere that you kind of really encapsulated there with like, how do we manage all that stuff? How do we make everything right? How do we do all of that? And I thought I really maybe struggled during that, or I didn't quite reach that North Star that I wanted. And when I asked them why, they shocked me, because they didn't tell me like, oh, we had a great culture, we were consistent, we managed everything right. They remembered 3 to 5 moments. Like these two people remembered like 5 really intense moments in the 20 years that they were with me. That was the reason that they were happy, that they remembered the organization well. And so that kind of like really threw me for a loop. And I went back and did a ton of research and really kind of came up with this idea that if leaders can see the big moments, so the framework is see, shape, and scale. Can they actually see when it's happening? And that is the biggest problem that most leaders have, is that they've already run past it. We're trying to manage everything, and then someone's really going through something, or someone needs to be told the truth about something, needs to have a tough conversation, and we don't actually do it. And then we get past it, and then we feel bad, and then we don't really do it. So can we see it? And then if we do, what is the moment? There's actually 7 different types of moments. So what is it? And what am I supposed to do in this particular time? And then if I do it, if I see it and I shape it, well, then I should probably let people know that we did well here. And I think that feels uncomfortable for people. It feels like bragging. It feels like, we're trying to make ourselves look good. But if you were on my team and I did something really great to help you, if no one else on the team knows that, well, then I'm not creating that psychological safety I could be creating for everybody else. So that's really the simple framework for leaders to take advantage of.
And what is when you do this, when you implement this, what is the result? Because I think you're right about, we're in this sort of seminal moment, right? And we're in this moment in politics and business with all the changes that are happening. So I think we all recognize we're in this moment, but how do you make this how do you operationalize this in a business?
Well, the good news is, I think that what's happened is this framework has turned out to be something that people can really grab onto as something for their whole life. So this is not just for leaders. This is not just for in the workplace. This is for the people I care about, for the people that I'm around, for the people that I am in charge of or have to work with, or whatever that encapsulation is. How do I show up for them in the right way, in a way that is authentic to me, that is the person I want to be, and it shows up for that other person in the right way, so that I do get those moments right. And I knew I was on the right track. I knew this was the right thing to do. What I didn't know is how are people going to respond to it. And so as I began to deliver the message and go out there, it's been really shocking to me that this seems to be the sort of articulation that a lot of people need to be able to figure out, how do I prioritize all of this? There is so much going on. There is so much change. We are feeling burnt out. We're feeling like maybe we're not being the best parents, or we're not being the best friends, or whatever that filter is for ourselves. But if we can sort of prioritize that in a way that makes sense, it feels easier to be able to go back and address our day. I mean, at some level, I'm not telling you something you don't already know. I mean, we've talked about, like, take all your list of problems and your to-dos and do the rocks first, and then the stones, and then the pebbles. I mean, right? This is another way to say, how do we prioritize what's important for the people we find important, and then go address that.
So you said something, the last sentence, right? How do we figure out what's important for the people that we find important? That is very interesting to me, because when I led my search firm, I used to, we were totally remote, like before it was COVID cool, like this is like in the early 2000s, and we'd bring everyone together from all over the world for a weekend, and we would, rent out a whole, hotel, and we would do a whole big thing. And I would get up and I would give like a State of the Union. I would talk about where we were, where we're going, isn't it exciting, all these amazing things. And I would leave so deflated, and I would leave like, why aren't my people as excited about the big things as I am? And my business coach, and now I do this with my own own clients who I coach said to me, they don't care. Like, you're up there talking about these amazing big deals, and you're like Charlie Brown's teacher, like wah, 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 wah. And all they're thinking is, what is in it for me? Am I going to have a job on the other side? Is the exciting thing. Like, is this going to change what I have to do every single day? And so I failed at understanding what was important to the people who were important to me. And I was telling them what was important to me. So you mentioned that there are 7 different moments. Like, what are those 7? How do we learn how to stop telling them what we find exciting, but talk about what they find exciting?
Yeah. So let's just take one of the moments as an example. There's inception moments, which are firsts. So if you take nothing else from this 15-minute conversation, if you could just start recognizing when people are going through something for the first time, you will be an amazing human in their life. So maybe it's the first day at work. Like, we tried to make the first day when someone started with us the best day they were ever going to have. We had everything ready. Their paperwork was already done. We sent them gift baskets with swag and candy. We sent them lunch. They had, a meeting, like a lunch with their team and their boss. Like, they had a meeting with me. I mean, like, we just did everything to make that day amazing and zero frustration.
And it's interesting because most people are like, oh my God, that hiring process was so stressful. Thank God that's done. The person starts Tuesday. And then they forget on Tuesday that the person walks in and they don't know where to go, where their desk is, what the internet password, they don't know how to sign on to anything. And they feel forgotten, even though you think you're done. Like, they're just starting.
Right. I mean, we had examples of our employees who didn't even have their laptops ready. We didn't have passwords ready. And so I had a rule. If we're not 100% ready for that person to start on Tuesday, they don't start on Tuesday. We will continue to pay them. They have started work. They're getting paid. That we're not going to punish them for our mistake. But if I got to wait till Thursday for them to have a great first day, then we're going to wait until Thursday. And that was so important. Now, you could also say, well, someone's going through a divorce for the first time. Someone's kids are going off to college for the first time. Like, there are so many examples when we don't really maybe know, when am I supposed to show up big for the people in my life that I care about? Well, just looking at firsts is a great way to do that. Because if someone's going through, you and I have someone who's important in our life at a particular bureau, and her kid went off to college for the very first time. And I sent her a note just acknowledging that, like, hey, this must be a really big moment for you. And I mean, just the response from her, right? She wanted to talk about it. She was having all the feelings. Her kid was going off and, like, may never return. Like, they may go be an adult for the rest of their life, and she's going to be an empty nester forever. Like, that's a really important way to think about how we interact again with the people we care about.
I absolutely love that. I mean, you got to tell us one more. I mean, we got 3 minutes. We got to know at least one or two more of these little these things, because that's gold. That's gold right there.
I mean, so maybe we'll talk about Stephen Colbert, because he's actually got like 3 little moments happening all at once. So here the guy got told, you don't have a job anymore, right? I think is the only example of like a highly successful talk show host who got told, we don't want you anymore. Even though you're like really popular, we don't want you. He didn't retire. He wasn't having bad ratings, and he got kicked out of his job. And so he had to figure out, well, how do I handle the ending of a moment, right? How do I handle this and then do an actual transition? So we had an ending moment, right, where he gets told he's done, except the poor guy doesn't get put out of his misery. He gets to stay on TV for 6 more months. And so now he goes through a transition moment where he's got to figure out what he's going to do and how he's going to handle this. And he did a really great job, I thought, about bringing on great guests and talking about it and also celebrating it. And he also kind of let his super nerd come out, because he's like a big Lord of the Rings dude, right? And he did this somewhat in his previous shows, but like this really came out. And so here he is talking about it. And the next thing you know, he has a culmination moment, which is something has ended, but then a new door opened up. And so sometimes when something ends, we're like, oh, I'm so depressed and this is over and then my world's never going to be the same. But because he did this transition moment so well, Peter Jackson shows up and says, how would you like to go and write the next Lord of the Rings? So this ending of something that seemed like his entire life actually opened up a new door to this thing that he actually cares about more than anything else. He's probably one of the top 3 Lord of the Rings nerds of all time. I mean, the guy can like speak the Elven language. I mean, he really understands this. And now because of this and how he handled that moment, he's now going to be doing probably the one thing he never thought he would do, but he would want to do more than anything else. Right? So he's a really great example. How do you handle something terrible that happens to you? How do you transition through that? That's a second moment. And then the third moment was how do you take advantage of the next door that opens up?
Yeah. Wow. Good stuff there. Really good stuff. Were you going to, did I interrupt you, Laura?
No, I was just going to close us out and thank Chris for helping teach us about how to make moments matter. I personally have like a to-do list in my brain right now about 6 people that are going through moments, and I'm like, oh, I really should reach out to that person today, right now. And what strikes me is how easy it is. It's just like sending a text. It's sending a DM. It's popping in an email, a letter in the mail. It doesn't have to be a big giant thing. It's just letting people know that you're thinking about them.
And the
I want to
smile,
challenge
and the
everyone.
the smile that brings people's, like you just said, that it made that person's day. That simple act made someone's day.
And made you a safe space for them to talk about what they're going through.
Yeah, or not, but at least if you recognize it, then that gives them the opportunity. And the one thing I would remind everybody, if you're going to send a text, if you're going to do something, take it hard. And what I mean by that is don't say, hey, let me know if you need anything, because now you're putting the responsibility on the other person. If you know they need something, then be the person who shows up with the casserole and didn't ask permission. Like, be the person that did something to help them if you know they're going through something, instead of like saying, well, hey, tell me what you need, because no one's ever going to tell you what they need.
Oh my God, Chris, I have a whole TEDx about like, stop asking, how can I help? It's like the worst question ever. How can I help? It puts the burden on somebody else. It inserts us in the middle of their problem. It's like, what needs to happen for that person to be doing better on this day? I love that. I love that. This has been Thought Leadership in 15 minutes. We ask global gurus to help us understand the problem they see in the world, the IP that they bring to it, and the measurable results they're bringing. Chris has a new book, Moments That Matter. It will help you figure out how to make the moments that matter for the people who matter to you. Thank you for joining us today, Chris.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.